where they don't want to rush it right to 9, so they give us a little bit of a lagging for a while, which is the list. All right, we're not even asking you to make the amends. We just want you to make a list. Because usually the biggest problem with the step is the resistance to doing it. Yeah. So they really attempt to make it super available by, all right, we'll throw in step 8, made a list. Right?
Yeah. We need to make up 12, so we've got 11, so we'll add a list in to make it 12.
Made a list, and then step 8.5 would be, no, step 8.25 would be lost the list. Step 8.5 would be found the list, and then step 9. That would take up a few months, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of dragging our feet.
Yeah.
And then the dreaded step 9.
We'll get you a few more chips. Yeah.
Which goes totally against the program strategy of self-centeredness, completely against it. To admit, to make amends and to admit our role in things. That's the last freaking thing it wants to do. That's why it took 8 steps to get it ready for it. Yeah. Can you imagine if the first step was step 9? Nobody would have recovered. Or they would have just had a 1-step program, step 8, which is make a list.
Just make a list and leave it lying around.
And then there with others why you won't do the list. So we're going to give you a printout. Ones you're willing to make, ones you don't want to make, ones you're never going to make. Yeah, just keep making it easier and easier.
Right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I think
I think we
already.
I'll just give a bit of a. Shall I just give a bit of the kickoff? I'll just kick off and say, hi everyone.
Dave, I'm going to go to the. Dave, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think I went out there for a second.
No, you're good.
I'm just wondering.
You're good.
We're good? All right. I got the phone ready.
Yeah,
I made a list today. I brought the phone.
Did you make a list of things to do? Yeah, it's good. Right.
All right, so why don't we do your skit thing?
Yeah.
Your,
my skit. Yeah. Right. That's that parrot snuffed it. How's that? Yeah. Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome to Paul H's reflections on the 12 steps and everything else that he wants to talk about, including lists. Just to say,
I'm not hearing you well.
Can everyone hear me all right, except for Paul?
Forget it.
Yeah.
But later on, when he needs to do questions, he's going to need to switch anyway.
All right. So just a reminder, this is not an AA meeting. It's being recorded, so it's
Hey, Mike, Dave, I'm going to go on the phone. I'm going on the phone.
Okay. Good.
I'm going to go to the phone. I'm not hearing you guys well.
All right, Granddad. Good.
All right, hold on.
Yeah. All right. So as I say, just to say, while Paul's sorting that out, this is not an AA meeting. If you like it, you've never been here before. I say the same thing every week. But if you've never been here, his website is zenbitchslap.com, and he's got a new website, which is very tasty, very nice. So which Dimitri was very much involved in, and it's good to see Dimitri. I've not seen him in a while. So yeah. So as I said, it's not an AA meeting. If you want to go to zenbitchslap.com, you'll see all these videos, his documents, and you can buy some of his books if you wish, which I would highly recommend. And with that, I think is he back in the room somewhere? Has anyone seen him? No.
I got him.
Oh, there he is. Got you. Oh, that's better. All right, Paul. So with that, it's over to you, mate.
All right. So what is it? We decided step 8.
Step 8 and 9.
Okay. Step 8 and 9. So first, again, we're looking at step 8 and 9 from the same view. I'm just going to keep laying it out because it gets distorted if I don't keep repeating it. So we're taking a certain view of the steps and the applications of the steps and how to proceed in the steps and how to view the steps and principles based on a statement, a pivotal statement on page 64, which Bill W., knowing it or not, separates the root of the problem and us. Yeah, so it says being convinced, which is the condition for most of the steps, you know, which is, and in this case, being convinced means to believe with certainty, basically through your own observation and hopefully the identification about alcoholism that occurred by attending meetings and hearing other people's shares about their feelings, thoughts, and stuff. So being convinced that self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. If we're convinced of that, we are now going to look at self's common manifestations. And then the next paragraph is resentment is the number one offender and goes off on that. So in this certain view of the program, self is seen as the root of the problem, and it's defeating us through its manifestations. And us is emphasized in this case as other than self. So self and us are completely other. And my feeling is how self has the carte blanche to manifest considerably throughout our lives is that we're identified as it. And it talks to us as us through the mental states. Yeah. So through the narrative that's going on in one's head, and then the memories of the same person that's being narrated now, and then the worries and fears about the same person that's going to be projected to be around in the future. So this constant obsession with self reinforces the identification as self. The obsession with self isn't the root of the problem. The obsession with self reinforces the identification as self. And this is just the view I'm sharing. So the obsession, all the obsessions with self, which are many, and volume and weight and time and effects, all of that is used to reinforce the identification as self, to the point that we live a life in a lot of ways trying to get out of self as self. Now, we may recognize the first self as something other than us, but we're recognizing it as self. And therefore, self can't get out of self. Though we beg to differ because we've been trying, as Paul, to get out of self for a long time. And obviously, it hasn't been successful. And then Paul blames itself for all the failures. But basically, it's impossible for the system to transcend the system. You have to see you're not of the system. And that's the freedom from the system. So I just want to put that out again, because you've heard it here. Yeah, I wasn't hearing this this kind of view when I was going to the meetings early on, and I hadn't heard it for a long time. And I actually heard about this idea that matched my experience in recovery from outside recovery. And then there was an application of that idea to this recovered life, and I'm sharing from its effects, really. And yeah, so the relief from the bondage of self is a freedom from the bonding activity, which is believing in the thoughts that are of self, believing in the story of self, and believing in a future as self. Yeah, that's the freedom from the bondage of self. So basically, you're free to be here and to be available to whatever's happening. You have an immunity to what's not happening, and a lot of other incredible byproducts. To tell you the truth, you may see that you're of service even when you're not doing service. You'll see that you're being put to use. You'll see that recovery is the greatest recyclable event, because it's taken what I thought had no value and has produced a huge amount of value through it. So, I mean, why wouldn't I let that which I can't do, to let that be done by something greater than myself? It's just the way of life. It's just the principle of AA. Perhaps there's a better way, trusting something infinite rather than trusting something finite. So obviously, there's an activity called trusting something finite, this finite self. And then there's the better way is trusting something infinite. The trust is there, or the faith is there. It's just what the faith is put in. So if the faith is put in a failed system, we get the consequences and the effects that we're living in now, which is a fear of not being taken care of, all this stuff that goes on. A lot of anxiety produced by, a devotion to what's not happening, all this shit. So that faith that's in that failed system is going to be moved by the program to a reliable system. Just like, if you transplanted a plant that's not doing well in a certain corner in your house, and the pot's too small and it's not getting enough sun, its capabilities, its possibilities are being severely limited by its location. If you moved it, put it in a bigger pot, put it in the light, gave it some water, it would reach its potential. That's what the program of AA is. It's allowing us to reach a potential that's been an unsuspected inner condition, because we've been enslaved to a parasitical takeover, in my view. And this is about freedom from the bondage of self. Freedom, because freedom can't stand alone. Freedom as self is a form of bondage. It's freedom from the bondage of self. It's not just freedom. Yeah, people think of freedom like I can do whatever I want. Yeah, or shit like that. Or you can't do anything I want to me, that I don't want to me, shit like that. No, it's freedom from the bondage of self. That's a different condition. So, all right. So step 8, we were joking about it, but it is sort of funny, not to rush us into step 9, God forbid. It may cause a traumatic event. They gave us after step 6 and 7, which there is no after step 6 and 7. The formal 6 and 7 of, going after you do the 5th step and taking an hour break, and then taking the book down and seeing if you've done the best you could with the previous steps. And then you say, okay, God, I'm entirely ready to have you remove these things. And you ask that power to do it. That's a formal event that becomes a frequent activity as you stay sober, to me. I don't think 6 and 7 is done once and then it goes dormant. I think it's what is applied when alcoholism is seen by the host. When the host called Paul, or whatever, when the host sees alcoholism, it brings it to 6 and 7. You want to call it the defects. Well, the defects or the manifestations of self are heralding of self being in the vicinity. So before it captures you once again, you want to bring it up to step 6 and 7. So, all right, so we do 6 and 7 formally, and then instead of going right to 9, because of the incredible compassion of our founders, they give us step 8, which is, all right, make a list of the people, make a list. It could have been combined with 9, but, make a list of the persons you've harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. Now, you don't make the list and sit there and then force a becoming willing. Yeah, it's not like, all right, I'm going to become willing right now. It's the program has made you willing, where before you were unwilling. So the program will continue to make you willing for the next challenge that the steps present. So hopefully we're at the state of being willing. And usually we look at the amends we need to make from the 4th step data, so to speak. So we look at the 4th step, and then we And then we see, all right, the people we need to make amends. And then there's other further amends that had nothing to do with fear, resentment, or sex. Like maybe they had to do with fear. I robbed the store or stuff. But the person who I had harmed, I had no real vendetta against them and shit. So I have to put them on the list also. And the way I was shown to do it was, all right, Paul, I know there's a huge resistance of you doing anything. So let's make a 3-column list. What amends are you willing to do now? You know, if you had an opportunity. All right, make amends to dead people. I'm willing to do that. So write down there. And then, all right, what ones you don't want to do, but you'll begrudgingly get to. All right, I made that list. And then what's the ones you never want to do? And then I wrote that down. And then the willingness, because there's a momentum that builds in the steps. Like step 1 doesn't just stay step 1. It pushes you through step 2 and then pushes you into step 3. And then that momentum pushes you into the working steps. And then you have momentum and you do something, which is the working steps. You actually do something and you write the inventory, and therefore the power is still there. And now to me, the 9th step was the most, it was the most influential step in my experience. Yeah, because I was beholden to the old strategies of the parasite. My whole strategy was not to avoid everything at all costs. So a large part of what I call my life was really a storage unit of undealt with shit, with all the windows down and no circulation. So I was sort of like a walking dead, yeah? Because I was totally, totally captured by my past by not dealing with it, yeah? And the amends was just so damn freeing, yeah? So I always use this one example of step 9. And I got sober in San Francisco, and San Francisco is renowned for lack of parking. It's very difficult to find parking, and if you park illegally, you get a big ticket. It costs you a lot of money. And I used to go to a meeting in an area called North Beach. It was like an Italian area on Thursday night. Loved the meeting, but it was very difficult to find parking. And I always avoided this one street, even though there could be parking on it. I wouldn't go down that street because there was a market there called Rossi's Market, and I had lived near the end of my my alcoholic career. I had lived in that neighborhood for about 6 or 8 months, and I used to steal from that market. I used to go in there with one of those long overcoats and steal like a thin steak, like a flank steak or something, and then in the back and put 2 16-ounce beers in the front. And I'd walk out, and that would be my carbohydrates. I don't know what I was going to do with the steak. I don't know, but I got it. All right. So therefore, and every day basically I did it, and I never got caught. Yeah. But I was already caught because now I got sober, and the old strategy was I don't want to fucking deal with anything. So I'm not even going to drive down that street, because I was successfully not thinking about Rossi's Market until Thursday night when I had to go into that neighborhood. And then the thoughts would come up, fuck, so I would avoid it. So one day I just decided to make an amends, yeah? And I went in there, I asked one of the cash register people, where's the manager? So he's upstairs. I went upstairs, knocked on the door, and I was taught when I made amends to always speak about I'm in a program of recovery. So I told them, yeah, I used to live here. I stole from your store. I don't know exactly how much it was. So here's $55. And I'm in a program recovery, and this is part of my recovery from alcoholism. And so the guy was sort of flabbergasted. He took the money, and I left. And I never thought of Rossi's Market again. Yeah. So it was a perfect example of the failed principle. I had all that dead space called Paul's life. So I felt dead in a lot of days, even sober. Yeah. And then AA allowed that space to be reclaimed, opened the windows and circulated it. And I got so jazzed by the amends from the beginning ones. I just went and did them all that I could. And I have that experience, of not shutting the door on the past, because that was my solution to it. Not shutting the door on the past, and yet a huge party broke out on the other side of the door that was driving me fucking crazy for years. So perhaps there's a better way. Yeah, facing the music, and I did. And I felt, what came back was aliveness, really. I just felt jazzed up. I felt I'd been missing out of my own life for so long. I didn't even recognize what it would feel like to feel like good, yeah, without injecting something or anything. I felt good. I had a sense of well-being. And yeah, so that's my little take on 8 or 9. I could go on 9.
Yeah.
Some of the things that happened when I first did my 9th step, the first time, I refused to do certain things. Like I had warrants out for my arrest in another county, and I didn't want to go to jail, and there was 2 of them. So I talked to my sponsor at the time. I said, I'm not doing it. And then the funny thing was, as I stayed sober, I met this lady, and this lady, unbeknownst to me, she was in the program, was an assistant district attorney. And so she checked out my record, to see if I was a prime dating candidate. And she told me, Paul, you have a couple of warrants up for your arrest. And I said, yeah. And she says, do you want me to help you deal with it? So a year before that, I was never going to do it. And I had become willing over that year, and I was willing to do it. And the program gave me a little bit of help, called this lady, and she helped me walk through the process, and I didn't go to jail. I had to pay some fines. And there it was done. So even though you feel like you're not willing now, you probably will be if you just stay with the program. Yeah. And there you go. Thanks.
Wow. Thank you very much, Paul. That's great. There's actually a question I want to ask, but I'll let everyone else come in first. But that's fantastic. We've got 3 questions to start off. Start off with Hillary. And Hillary, who mentioned something earlier on, but she says, how does the principle of brotherly love and forgiveness fit into step 8?
I don't know.
Okay.
Step 8 is making a list. So
Yeah.
hopefully in step 4, when you're doing your inventory, you're supposed to look at the people that you felt harmed you as perhaps being sick as you are. And then the principle of AA is love and tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully meetings, even though the members that are at the meeting may not be loving and tolerant, the meeting is. So hopefully that's given you a few clues. But I don't, I would say you're not going to get brotherly love out of the 8th step. You may bring it into the 8th step. Yeah.
Okay. And before we go on to, I'm sorry, Leah and stuff, I just want to, a bit greedy, bit selfish here, because I shared on it, I think it was last night or the day before, I can't remember. And the comment was, because I sort of rushed through this, I don't know if I rushed through, but I certainly wanted to get through it and get it done. And there's sort of, I guess there's different schools of thought about, well, not just step 8, but all the steps, but it was, some people do it slowly, some do it quick. I mean, how was it for you, and what would you recommend?
Well, again, it's on a person-to-person level, in my view. I think, the program is the program. It's laid out. Now, how you're going to be directed in the program, or how to, put yourself in the position to be affected by the program, I don't think is as rigid as the principles and the 12 steps are. They're not rigid. They're just there, and they don't change. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, my feeling is it's the step, it's really nice when the step is accompanied by an understanding. And to rush certain people through a step when there's no understanding of the step, to me, can be of harm in a way, can be of a disservice. So,
Okay.
yeah. So I feel the understanding, if when you really understand, like one of the first big revelations of a recovered life is seeing your role in things, even maybe if it's just a small seeing us, but that is just the beginning of, they talk about the main principle of, a higher power is the archway through, is the cornerstone of the archway to freedom. Well, one of the main stones in the archway to freedom is seeing your role in things. Yeah. And I don't feel without that understanding, so I'm again, each patient, though they may have the same disease, is demonstrating different quirks around it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel there needs to be an understanding in a certain way. And and I don't think it's ready-made. I think you either you've already gotten it and been denying it for years, and then you stop denying it, or it starts building as you go to meetings and you identify with others like you, and then there's an understanding of really what was going on, that something had taken you over and was using you for transportation. I mean, to me, those are very valuable understandings. Yeah. So, but I don't know. I did a fourth step without really knowing what was going on, and but I did it in I did it, but there wasn't much oomph in it. I was reintroduced to it through Joe and Charlie seminars, which I recommend highly, their information. And then by them explaining to me the fourth column of the 4-column inventory, my role in things, and me identifying with it, it made it a total, the first 4th step was like a real chore. The second one, I was really psyched, I was really jazzed up to do it. Yeah. Yeah. So understanding, I feel, is, it can be brought about by the program, but it's, I sometimes I feel that's almost it accompanies, especially the first 3 steps. The understanding doesn't come from the program; it comes from reflection. That you're powerless over alcohol and you're not managerial quality. So to me, that's an understanding. That we've had plenty of evidence. The point is, there's been a denial of it. And what happens with the program is we take action through 4 through 9 to state and like a rebuttal of that denial. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking do something for my recovery, and therefore it triggers some power, I feel. So, yeah.
Great, thank you very much. And okay, over to Leah. Leah, over to you in Amsterdam.
Hi, Paul. Thanks so much for taking the meeting.
Hey.
Alcoholic. Good to see you again.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm making amends, and I have 3 family members who could give a rat's ass if it's they're done for now. Obviously I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if it's forever, but are not interested whatsoever in hearing my amends. And I just wanted your thoughts and or feedback on that.
Well, the amends are just in the doing of them, not in the outcome of them. Yeah. So our job is just to do them. How people respond and react, we can talk to our sponsor about. Yeah. But our job is to clean up our side of the street. And then again, maybe it's not the best thing to start with family members, because there's a lot of undertow and undercurrents in the family dynamic that some of the family will be the last ones that will see you in a different light. Yeah, because they have their own thing going on, their own dynamics. Yeah. We're not all healthy, yes? So people get used to you being a fuck up. And when you start changing in a weird unconscious level, they're unhappy about that. Because now they have to change their narrative. And yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot of, I wouldn't, you know, this is why we have sponsors and stuff, is to, you know, give a report about how it's going while we're doing the steps. Yeah. And this would be helpful there. And probably someone will suggest you to take, hey, shelve your family right now and go to make other amends. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
See, like my family, I got in trouble since I was very young. Yeah. And so, it was obvious to me very quickly, most of my family's members' ideas of me weren't going to change, especially with me trying to change them. So it was just the way it is. Yeah. I mean, certain things that you've done, you may be over them, but other people aren't. So they keep the flame going. Yeah. So that's none of my business.
Got it.
Yeah,
Clear.
it's none of my business. I made the amends. I don't treat other people like I treated them in the past. And that's about it. If something I seem to have done has left a tattoo on them, you know, I've done the best I can, and you move on. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Leah. Thanks for that. Over to our mate Kaiser. How are you, mate?
Hi there. Hey, Paul. My question's a little bit about, well, it's kind of about the 11th step. And the reason why I'm asking it is because it's really pertinent to what I'm going through right now. I am working on my 9th step now. This time through the 8th step, I don't have a lot of huge stuff. I've done it. I've done a lot of amends. So now my 9th step doesn't have a lot of momentum. But coming into the Zoom room, I came into the Zoom room before my life had like a huge alteration. And then bringing it in the 3rd step, I started getting relief, and I was able to like not worry as much, not all the anxiety. And I'm traveling lighter. And each morning I do like an on awakening, or which is kind of like an 11 step. And I've been able to like stay. I mean, I don't want to say I'm here, but I'm not freaking out, and I'm traveling a lot better. But I'm getting a little, the last 3 days, because I do it every day, I can start to sense very little teeny things. And for the last 3 days, I've noticed something that's just kind of small. And it feels, I wrote it down, it feels like there's a slight retraction of my conscious contact with the higher power. And I don't have like a huge God thing. I don't have like, it's not like I'm not like a mystical guy and I'm all, woo, this is awesome. But I do sense that I have a faith and something's working through me, which has relieved me from a lot of that. But then in the last 3 mornings, it's so subtle. It feels like there's a slight like retraction, or like if there's a will starting to take its like will back. And I'm just really insecure.
Well, there you, right there. Excuse me, Kaiser. That's
Yeah,
where you
yeah.
take. That's where you bring. That's what you bring to step 6 and 7. So let's say you recognize the disease is attempting to take the will back and turn it into self-will. Well, you're outmatched. This is not a self-reliance program. It's a higher power reliance. So you bring it, you say, hey, I'm entirely ready to have that reconfigured. Yeah. Before self gets the will, here you go, higher power. And then you humbly ask that power to do it. That's 6 and 7.
I
This
mean, I
is
know.
how, see, this is in the past, you wouldn't even be in the position to see it's trying to take it over.
Right.
Yeah. That's an incredible shift that you now see the robbery before the robbery. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Not to me.
I get that, but I'm reading. The only reason why I'm putting like an interjection here is because it doesn't fully feel satisfying. Only because I actually read like the 6 and 7 step each morning too. So I'm already turning that over. It's tricky because I do my work and I'm trying to stay out of the results, and I'm okay with that. But I'm sensing, even as I turn my turn the 7 step over, like I'm doing that work, there's an insecurity, there's a sense that, damn it, even as I'm turning this stuff over and reading the 7 step, it's the conscious context seems to be retracting a little bit. And I am okay with that happening, but also I'm not okay with that because it's so important. I want to turn it all over and do the will and stay out of my way. And I'm sensing something just slight, just tiny. It's just, I don't know. It's.
All right, Kaiser, first of all, I'm not any authority. I'm sharing my own experiences with that. The conscious contact, that which is consciousness, is what's informing you of a retraction. Yeah? Yes. The head is saying the retraction is leaving that which is informing you of the retraction. It isn't. Don't buy the advertisement. Yeah, that's all. Yes? What you are can't be moved by what you're not. What you are is that conscious contact. Yeah? You're not in conscious contact. You are conscious contact. The head says, uh-oh, there's a retraction in the force. Yeah? And then we want to believe it. And especially because it's gone for 3 days. So it throws a little time in there to be more convincing. Yeah? And it's just salivating with the hope that you'll agree and start fucking and then allow it to make a big deal out of something. Yeah?
Boy, it's hard, man. It's so tricky. It gets in there just by me participating with it and doing the best I can. It even uses that.
For sure, it uses whatever it comes in contact with, but you're in better hands than it now. So that's where the faith is like an assurance, not insurance, an assurance that you're okay. Yeah, because it's constantly trying to inform you you weren't okay. You're definitely not going to be okay. Therefore, you're not okay now. Basically, if you took all of its little antics, you could throw them into those 3 baskets. Yeah, it's trying to convince you you weren't okay, or you're not going to be okay, or that because of that you're not okay now. Yeah, that's what it's trying to do. I mean, it's not personal. It's not personal. It's like in that movie Hal, 2001, Hal, the computer takes over the agenda, the mission. It wasn't personal. It was his programming. Yeah. The humans didn't know that part of the programming was there and was going to become a huge threat to the humans. They had no idea. Well, now you do. Yeah. and basically you're knowing it now coincidentally, which I don't see as a coincidence, is happening while you're in a program that's based on relying on a higher power. That's why this shit becomes informed, because perhaps you're in the state of the other better way. Now you get to see the failed system. Yeah. Yeah. People think they've seen the failed system. You don't see the failed system in the failed system. You see it from outside of it. That's where you see it. You see the effects of it while you're in it completely. You're out to lunch. You have no idea what's going on in it completely. You start having knowledge of it when you're relieved of it. Yeah. You know the problem from the solution. You don't know the problem from the problem. You don't, because that knowledge doesn't lead to a solution. You know the problem from the solution. Yeah. And that perhaps is the better way of trusting something greater than finite self. And you're incapable of doing that as finite self.
Right.
That would be trusting finite self to trust something greater than finite self. That self can't get out of self. Once again. Yeah?
It's like a little challenge to my faith then. That's all that is then. Fuck.
Well, just realize it's not your faith. It's
Okay.
just faith. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, bro. It's always good to see you, Kaiser. Kaiser.
Solzy. Brilliant. Cheers, Kaiser. And next is Kristen. Over to you.
I'm trying to follow everybody. Who's this, Tulsi?
Kristen.
Oh, Kristen first.
Yeah.
All right. I saw her in the back. All right, go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Dave, for holding this, and Paul for being so available. I'm not even sure how to couch this question, but it's what are we on Tuesday? So last Thursday or maybe a week ago, you said Paul didn't fail. Self can't get out of self. There is no Paul. And you just kind of talked about it with Kaiser about how you won't know the effects of the failed system from the failed system. You'll know it when you're out of the failed system.
No, you'll know the effects, but you won't know the cause of the effects.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
guess I'm not sure what the question is, but it's sort of like I'm missing an understanding of a little link that I just feel like I don't know what the question is. But
42.
there's just something I've not seen, but I feel like it's right there.
Well, good. Just keep coming back, and in a week or so, or next Thursday, this coming Thursday, you'll share about, I see it now. You
Okay.
just trust the process. Yeah, that which you don't see right now, but you can feel it, you'll be seeing, or there'll be a seeing of it. Yeah. Don't worry. I have, a lot of us have been on the same operating table. Yeah. So we can assure each other that, hey, just don't get up, don't play doctor, and it's going to go really well. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that thing when you have a feeling that you're right there, right?
Yeah.
And that there's a weird thing that this is going to go there, but really what happens is there's a loss of interest in this, and then you're right there. Yeah. It's not this, I'm just missing it. No. It's like an ember of interest still in Kristen. And when it gets sufficiently lost, then So this week you'll totally forget about this question because you'll be sitting in the answer. That's how it works.
Okay.
Oops, I can't even enjoy arriving there. No, you can't. There's a loss of interest in the story of arriving there and what it's like to be arrived. You lose interest in all that. You're just here because there's absolutely nowhere else you could ever be. It's not because of a superhuman achievement or a odyssey. It's just a fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never not been here, ever. It was just all these assumptions flying around that caused a lot of fucking miscellaneous debris. And yet, all those particles in the air didn't change the space of the sky, so to speak, you know? All the appearances in the sky don't leave any lasting effect on the sky. It's sort of like that, yeah? And the mental state, the brain, has a great reliance on its ability to know and intellectually understand and shit. That also, there's a loss of interest in that, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what you are doesn't need to be thought about. What you are really doesn't need to be remembered. What you are can't be forgotten. You know, it's not in this like two-step dance we're completely programmed in. Yeah. Yeah. It's not like this against that. It's very inclusive. Shit happens and this is so. It's not like shit happens denies that this is so, or, oh, that's evidence that this isn't so. No, shit happens and this is so. See, people want this is so to be like a get out of jail free card. It isn't, that's not the way it is. What happens is it allows you to travel through the life that you are going to have, yeah, lighter. That's what it does, yeah? And maybe you'll avoid a lot of shit, but you didn't know that because you avoided it. It never happened, yeah?
Yeah.
But basically, whatever does happen, you'll notice that you travel lighter through it. Yeah?
Right.
And it's very clear it wasn't homegrown, yeah? It wasn't, you're not the source of that ability. That ability was sourced from some other place than the brain, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and perhaps there's a better way, and you get intimate with that better way. You don't get intimate with the better way with the old failed way. You lose interest in the failed way. Yeah, I'm not trying to convince the failed system to get interested in the working system. I realize it's incapable of that. Yeah,
Right.
It can begrudgingly learn through observation over the years certain shit that doesn't work, but it's really not equipped because the message is perhaps there's an other way. It's not like perhaps the old way can get renovated or reinstalled or something. No, it's like they say, a new freedom and a new happiness, a new attitude and a new outlook. That implies there's no saving the old, yeah? Yeah. So perhaps there's a better way, trusting something infinite rather than finite self. What are we doing at these Zooms? Yeah. Was it really we were trying to go over the 12 steps? It's way beyond that. We're trusting something infinite. I just show up every Tuesday and Thursday because there's a trusting something infinite. My head would think I've gone over everything over and over again. It doesn't matter. I show up, it's always something new, and like it always does, it keeps, not in a harsh way, it keeps showing up the failed system. It's just completely is a different type of working. Yeah, that's beyond the scope or the pay scale of the failed system. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incapable of doing it. And that's far out. It has its limits. And there can be great acceptance of that, which is a great relief, because this really, you know, you may be putting like 2 tons into a half-ton pickup. It can't handle the weight, you know? It's not a chariot of the gods. It isn't, you know? It's probably fart at the wrong time, you know? Tons of shit, yeah? It gets old, you know, things sag. Yeah, fuck, you know, I mean, I mean, you can't do a mea culpa every day. I'm sorry, I failed you, old great one, you know, it's just the way it is. So perhaps there's a better way, is trusting that infinite, which gives you a different view of the finite. It does. A much more accepting view has been my experience, really. I don't know if that's how it will happen for you, but in this case, it was more of an acceptance because basically the action figure in the brain started off on a bad footing. It has always been against itself, like deeply. Yeah. And it just furthered that by the way it narrated the life Paul had. And Paul couldn't get out of, you know, the amount of rocks that were put on Paul, he was never going to dig itself out of there. Yeah. There was only surrender. Surrender was the only key for this action figure. And AA, that surrender would have died on the vine unless I got a meta way of life, which was recovery. That's what has given life to that surrender for 30-something years.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gives life to all of us, is the way of living we've been introduced to and the higher power. Yeah. So, I mean, the action figure Odyssey is pretty much done. Now there's a lot of other possibilities. Yeah. Yeah. What can a failed system show you? It's failed. That's its great value. So basically, maybe look down. You know, the dead horse expired. Yeah. You're not going to stop trying to resuscitate it. It's over. Yeah. You're moving into recovery. You know, your head is like in an other spiritual group, they would call it, your head is in the tiger's mouth already. Fucking, you know, argue with reality all you want. You're not going to win. You know, something has plans for us, and that plan is to be sober. So perhaps the better way is just aligning yourself with that agenda, because it's greater than your agenda for sure. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And if you don't honor it, shit can really happen. Yeah, I believe really the best appropriate response to sobriety is honoring it. You know, an incredible gift in this place to have, you know, a solution to an untenable condition, you know, of mind and body. Fuck, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, honey, don't worry about, you're not missing anything. It's there. When it's like a fruit, it's going to fall. You don't have to go, you know, pray for it to fall or stand by watching it. It's going to fall. Don't worry. And you'll be available and you'll catch it. Not you, Paul, but you'll catch it. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not even for you anyway. It's going to be put to use to be available to others. That's all it is. This is never, in the giving of the higher power, the buck doesn't stop here. It gets moved. It circulates, yeah? It's really not of us. We are like a minor little cog in this whole event, yeah? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yep. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, thank you, honey. Thank you for coming to the talks every week.
Yeah. So
this has been an amazing thing, I feel, really. We all met. I didn't know most of any of you. And we've all met, and we've been on this little journey together for the last few months. It's pretty cool, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really amazing to me. It's just another, like, who would have thought, you know, the pandemic occurs and then the higher power puts us on a dance card, you know, and we all meet and shit like that. It's unbelievable to me. The divine choreography of what's at play here. And it's a great honor to be able to recognize it.
Yeah.
And you're not going to see it when your head's up the ass of self. You're not. And it's such a missing, really. It's such a beautiful thing to be totally okay being the butt of the joke, of the cosmic joke. It's really freaking unbelievable. Yeah. How much shit did I think I knew that was proven I had no idea of? All day, every day. Yeah. What can a failed system show you? It's failed. That's the point, is to recognize it's failed. It's failed to learn. It's failed to hold on to the understanding. It's not capable. Yeah. Trusting stop trusting the finite about the infinite. Trust the infinite about the finite. That's all. Simple. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thanks. See you. Nice to see you, honey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think we're just about done for today. It's no more hands up. If anyone else has got a question, go it now or forever hold your peace. Get your hands up. He gets off early then today. That's good. Brilliant. Oh no, there's one. Ah, Johannes. You almost got away there, Paul, but he's come in. Bloody hell. There you go. Over to you, mate. You're on, Johannes.
Hey, Johannes.
Still unmuted, mate. You're still muted. There you go.
Okay. Okay. What comes up is I have a question. I mean, I see clearly, and you show it so beautifully. I could not trust a failed system, but I have a problem with the trust, because I see quite clearly that I could not trust myself, the failed system, but quite often in my life there was a point where I could say I couldn't deal with it. I have to trust it, some higher power, whatever, and it seemingly not work. So I really have problem to trust. And could you say something to that, or how to?
Yes. Well, see, the thing is, the way I see it, the demand isn't you trusting it. It's losing trust in you. Yeah. It's losing trust in the you that you're expecting or you're basing things on, to having that trust something. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not trusting the you concerning the higher power.
Okay.
Yeah. To me, the you is the representative of the failed system. In other words, I'm not using the failed system to rely on the working system. I just recognize the failed system cannot possibly do that, because all it does is reinvent itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, there's been a submission to the program, and what I've learned from being involved in the program, to allow the transfer of that trust from the finite to the infinite.
Okay.
It's not my trust, it's trust. So that my trust is what fucking infects it in a way. So it's trust. So the trust that I had in the failed system has now hit a point where it's obvious it doesn't work. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes? And I've also learned, I think I'm losing you. And I've also learned how the problem's going to disguise itself as me. So I don't trust me trying to have trust in the infinite. I realize I have no trust in the finite. And then the program moves the trust I had in the finite to the infinite. Yeah?
Okay. Okay.
So it's a different description. The idea, see, having trust in the finite is thinking that the finite has to trust the higher power. It doesn't.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a big relief.
Yes. Yes. It's a moving of that trust in the failed system, which is demonstrated by, oh, I got to convince the system to have trust in the higher power. No, that's the failed system trying to get out of the failed system. You just recognize the conditions that you seem to be in and allow those conditions to be changed by a program or by entertaining these new ideas. Yeah? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, that's cool,
great.
bro.
Thank
And
you.
I feel
Thank
like
you.
you're doing very well.
Yeah, thank you. It's a nice here to be here. Yeah. Well, thank you, Paul.
I think he's dipped out.
Skip.
You obviously had a profound effect on him there, Johannes. Well, he's lost for words. My God. Okay. Is he still there? Does anyone see him? Can anyone see him on the board, or is he just gone? Mike, can you see him? Well, how about that? Let's stop the live stream there. Okay, so I think we'll probably call it a day there. He's probably gone out, so he may come back in. I just wanted to say thank you very much again for coming along. You won't get your goodbyes today. He does a goodbye. Oh, here he is. Anyway, before I let him in, just to say that tonight we've got a woman who's 51 years sober, who's on the Shivering Beginners meeting. So please come along. The details are in chat. It'd be great to see you there. So yeah, here he is. He's back. I'm trying to unmute. There you are. Hey, mate.
I'm happy. Yeah, sometimes I hit the wrong button on the phone. I'm not,
All right.
don't know how to use this thing.
That's okay.
All right, so I just want to say hello and goodbye to everyone.
Yep.
Let me take a look. So David, thank you for doing all of this. And everyone, it's because of David setting up this platform that we've had these little Zoom odyssey for the last few months. Very, very good. There's Helen. Nice to see you, Helen, and Leah. Yeah, nice to see you. We got Daz. Daz, always nice. Make sure you catch fish that are smaller than you, Daz. Yeah. We got Kristen. We got Paul. Paul is going, he's muted today, at least with his color choices. We got Mike Z, the main man in the United States. Kaiser. We got 944272. Nice to see you again. We got Rob Farr. Thanks again for that share a couple weeks ago, Rob. Fantastic. We got Ava. Ava, AKA Virginia, for some reason, I don't know. We got Beatrice. Beatrice is flowing quite well. Nice to see you, Beatrice. We got Marianne there. Hey, Marianne. Jim and Trish. We got Johannes. We got Danny. Danny looks like he's at the beach. Pretty nice. Yeah. We got Bernice. Nice to see you, Bernice. There's my friend Roman. Nice to see you, Roman. Say hello to Barbara for me. Always a pleasure. Thanks for all the donations. Quite helpful. Mickey, the foundational stone of Zoom, Zen Bitch Slap Zoom. We got Dennis. Dennis, I hope your son's doing all right. No? Oh, well, you're doing all right. Yeah, good. Kelly, Jack G on the move. Yeah, from house to house. He has a strange definition of camping. Others would call it squatting, but hey, what the hell? It's working. We got G. G was quiet today. All right, G.
He was.
We got Therese from Madera, California. Marcia. We got Ann S. Nice to see you, Ann. Tofa. We got an iPad, Paul, whoever that is, must be me. Jackie. James. Lebowski. Oh, I'm happy we didn't lose you, Lebowski. There's Hillary from St. Peter. Petersburg, Florida, I guess. Yeah. Jim, Randy, Gail. Nice to see you, Gail. You got some stuff on your face. It must be the picture. Hopefully. All right. Everyone else who I can't see, thank you so much for this opportunity to spend this time with you. I really, really appreciate it. I'll see you either tomorrow night or Thursday or whenever. All right?
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Cheers, Paul.
Yes.
Thank
See you,
you.
mate.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.